Hello, family. Angela Cage here with Cage Collaborations LLC. And today I want to talk to you about accepting when people show you who they are and managing your expectations. And today I want to start out the message with a quote from one of my favorite writers, one of my favorite authors and orators, which is Maya Angelou. And if you've never had an opportunity to check out her story, please take some time and really read about her or listen to or watch an autobiography or documentary about her because she is very prolific, has spoken words of wisdom, and is really profound to think that at some point in her life she spent a span of time not uttering one single word. So just think about that. Someone who offered so much it by way of words to the world in her books and the speaking poems and things of that nature, at one point in time did not speak a single word. So if you ever get a chance, check her out. But the quote that I want to refer to today is when she said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. People know themselves better than you do. That's why it's so important to stop expecting them to be something other than who they are. And this is so very true because a lot of times we find that we have these expectations, these lofty ideas of how we think people should be, how they should interact with us, how they should treat us, how they should interact with us. And a lot of times that's just not the case. They show us who they are by their actions, how they treat us, how they talk about us when we're not in the room, how they show up for us, or maybe how they do not show up for us. But all of that is showing us who they are, and it's up to us to believe them when they show us, because we don't have to hear what they tell us about who they are. We can see, we can interact, we can see how it makes us feel to know who they are. And that's the same thing with us when we present ourselves in the world, when we conduct ourselves, how we speak about others when they're not in the room, how we interact with others, how we treat others. That is us showing others who we are. And the world should believe us when we show them who we are. And the thing about that is we often get disappointed when people don't show up, they don't conduct themselves, they don't treat us, they don't speak about us in a way that we think they should. Because here we are thinking this person is one way, although they do all these other things. They're showing me all this, that they will never show up for me, that I will never be a priority for them, that I will never be important for them. But in our minds, we keep saying, but this is not really who they are. I'm really important to them. I'm really someone that they care about, when all of the actions show us that that's not true. It's up to us to believe them when they show us that. And one thing that I know is that a lot of times we get disappointed, and the disappointment lies not in what we get. Disappointment lies in what we expected to get, because our expectations are unfulfilled. And that's where disappointment comes from. So it's up to us to manage our expectations. And I'm not saying this and putting this message out there to say that you have to tolerate how someone treats you if they don't treat you right, how someone talks about you if someone doesn't show up for you. I'm not saying that you need to tolerate that, because there's a difference between believing what someone is showing you and tolerating what they're bringing to you. So if it's not something that you're willing to accept, don't tolerate. Don't tolerate it. And the message that I really want to convey, along with when people show you who they are, believe them, is you have the opportunity to focus on what you can control. You can't control how someone else is or how they show up, who they are. You have no control over that. So get it out your mind that you're going to will this person by the power of your thoughts to be better, to show up for you, to whatever it is that you think about them, or you're expecting how whoever you're expecting them to be. Don't focus on that. Focus on what you have the power to control, and the thing that you have the power to control. And if you struggle with knowing what's within your control, take a look at Don't worry. Focus on what's in your control. There's a message out there that I put out about that I think will help you in this realm that I'm speaking of. But you have the control of your choice. So when someone shows you who they are, you then get to decide how that person is going to interact with you, what position they're going to have in your life, if any. And I have a prime example of this because there's someone in my life who I love dearly. I love this person to death. I love them to life. They are very, very special to me. But when I was interacting with this person was not showing up as I expected them to be for the role that they have in my life. And I was constantly getting disappointed because I'm thinking, this is not how the person in this role should be showing up. And what I had to learn is that they were showing me who they were, and I had to believe them. I had to stop expecting them to be anything, anyone different than who they truly were. And then I had to decide what I was going to do with that information. So I actually took a step back and evaluated, is this person treating me badly because they want to harm me, because they have ill will towards me? And it wasn't really treating me badly. I perceived it as bad because they weren't treating me in such a way in which I expected them to. But when I actually took a step back and evaluated the fullness of the situation, I learned that that person was giving me all that they had. It's just what I expected. What they had versus what I expected, it wasn't enough. There was a gap there. So what I decided to do with this particular person is I decided to accept them because I knew that they were loving me with all that they had. I knew that they were giving me all that they had, the fullness of the capacity that they had to show up for me. They were doing it in the way that they could. So I've learned to accept that, and we've been able to navigate the relationship without me being disappointed by expecting them to be something other than they were. And that was my choice because at one point in time, my choice was to cut them off completely. No access to me, but there was someone else that actually came in and helped me understand that person and helped me to see who they were and helped me to believe who they were showing me that they were. So I'm grateful for that third party who actually stepped in and helped me see that that person was loving me to their fullest capacity. And now we have a great relationship. But there are other relationships that I've had to evaluate, and I decided to cut the person off because what I felt is this person was not, they didn't have the capacity, that they weren't giving me the fullness of all that they were. They were giving me what was left over. They were treating me as if I was not important, that I was less than a priority for them, less than an option for them. And it didn't matter. So for me, I, instead of me constantly getting disappointed by this person constantly not showing up for me, not reciprocating the things in the relationship that I was giving, I had to just cut them off. I had to choose me, and I had to just cut them off, and that was my choice. And that's the message that I have for you, is that not only do you need to believe people when they show you who they are, and believe them the first time. You don't have to go round and round and round. Believe them the first time, but don't get your expectations hung up in who you're expecting them to be, because you're expecting them to be something other than who they truly are, because that will only lead you to the road of disappointment. You manage your expectations, and then you decide how are you going to move forward, because you can mitigate some of your disappointment. You can mitigate some of your heartache. You can mitigate some of those feelings of this person not, thinking of you, loving you, feeling unworthy, whatever is churning up inside you when you interact or think about how this person, how the interaction is with this person. You can mitigate all of that by choosing number one, to understand, because we all need understanding. We don't always show up our best selves, and we want understanding, and we want people to accept us for who we are. I'm showing you who I am, and for me, I'm showing you guys who I am. And the people that are within my village, I show up for them. So they can tell you when I'm not in the room, the things that they say about me, they are true because I've shown them who I am, and they can believe it and count on it. And they can expect me to be exactly who I am. And you can expect that same thing from other people, and people can expect that from what you show them. But again, not only believing that, but also managing your expectation and exercising your power of choice. Because if what the person is showing you, the person that they're showing you is not something that you're willing to accept or tolerate, you believe you deserve more. And again, I always want to say this is not about, it's not always about romantic relationships, but it can be friendship, it can be kinship, it can be co-worker relationship. Sometimes it can even be a job. It can be any situation because there's people everywhere. No one is an island. We have to interact in multiple facets of our lives. But you can apply this guidance to any of those type of situations. But it's really for you to take the step back and really evaluate who is this person showing me to be in any aspect: teacher, job, friend, boss, coworker, best friend, lover, aunt, cousin, sister, brother, whoever. Who are they showing me that they are? And once you get that information and you process it, then the question becomes, am I going to accept this? Am I going to accept who they're showing me? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to accept it and continue to interact with this person, then manage your expectations. Manage your expectations and stop wanting them to be somebody other than they are. Just take them as they are. And if the decision is no, I'm no longer going to allow this person to have access to me, then communicate that. What you've shown me, the person that you've shown me that you are, is not someone that I choose to have in my life at this point. So I think that we need space. People have the opportunity to grow and change, and I believe that wholeheartedly. But before I allow someone back in my life that I've chosen to cut off for reasons of them showing me who they are, and I don't want to tolerate it, they have to meet a standard for me. So if they say I've grown and changed, I'll make you a priority or whatever the case may be that caused me to cut them off, and they say I'm willing to do something different, then we can go on a trial period, and you can show me if you've changed. But the first sign that you show me that you haven't, then you get put back on the shelf, and you get put back in the no access zone. Because one thing that I'm going to do above all else is secure my own peace and sanity. I prioritize me. My peace and sanity comes first above anything else, because how can I be of any service to anyone in the world when I'm all turmoil inside because I don't have any peace and I haven't secured my own sanity? So that's not what we're going to do. And I want you all to win, and I want you to win in every area of your lives, especially relationships, because we are in relation with people every day. So take this message, take the time to evaluate, believe when people show you who they are, and then you get to mitigate your disappointment by deciding how you're going to move forward. I want you all to win. I love you all always. Make it a great day.